Demo with these devices. Okay. You're going to have questions. I'm going to answer those questions in the next 2 stops, so that way we're not on this crazy street corner for too long. So thermal imaging, right? So you should be able to see me. Yep. Orange, red, and yellow guy. I can do this because you're both female. That means I'm the hottest thing inside the video right now. So if you're a bachelorette party, like, that would be hysterical, just so you know, because half of them would be drunken in heels and be falling over. What do you think we're looking for in here? You watch the TV shows. Come on. What do you got?
Any other heat sources? Yeah.
Not heat.
Like cold.
Cold, right. Cold? We're looking for cold. Exactly. So that's why I point out that I'm red, orange, and yellow. So we're going to be looking for blue and black. I have the color scheme very simple because you guys have never done this before, especially when you're going to be studying this thing later. Now, it's going to show blue and black in there because it's going to use my skin as a reference because I'm the warmest thing out here. So you're going to try to keep a person in view at all times. Now, the blue and black, I'm looking for it to take shape or to start moving on its own. When I say take shape, it's normally a person. So you can see shoulders, a head, walking arms and legs, like the whole 9 yards. Like, that's what we're looking for. Cold anomalies, we do find them. The cool thing is that I have a blue dot bouncing around the screen. You can probably see it now. It's probably landed on something black or blue. Probably a windshield or a piece of glass, because that's usually the coldest thing out here. That's showing the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. It's going to move all over your screen. It's there to help guide your eye when you get your video back. That's the cool thing about it. Now, have I found things that are 40, 50 degrees colder than the ambient temperature tonight of 66 degrees? I have. I'm normally looking for 15 to 20 degree plus differences. So we're at 66. I'm going to be looking for 51 and below. Does that make sense? Yep. So again, even as an English guy, I can still do math. So most people handle this one-handed. If you want to. Sat in the front of the space where all those cars are parked. Eliza's garden was lined up with 5 church restaurants and came all the way across. We are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. Just kind of gives you the layout. So who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. That's why we look for secondary clues. Because again, we don't know which truck is actually coming through. So we do get the name Charles here a lot, but without a secondary clue, I don't know which one it is. The reason I even bring these 3 gentlemen up is because the son and the nephew, Charles and Charles, were both signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a big deal for us, but I hate politics. If I don't bring it up, they will do it for me angrily through earbuds, just so you know. I've seen it many, many times. Thank you. But anyway, this space, we don't talk about the Charleses, we talk about Eliza. Eliza has a much deeper story, and aren't we in Women's History Month right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of prominent females around town, which is, I'm a big hit during this month. Anyway, Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. So if you're going to ask her how old she was, don't expect numbers from the colonial times that she came from, like 12 and 14. Think of today's standards. The reason I bring this up is because her husband was over double her age when they married. Kind of a creepy age gap back then, creepy age gap now. Anyway, she married him because her father was over in England. He thought he was dying. Eliza didn't think he was dying. He was trying to bring all his kids home, and she doesn't want to go, so she gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card because they're not even a country yet. So she did marry him out of love. Don't poke the bear on this one. Again, no foul play at all. And she was right. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to this space where we're standing. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. You've been in town for at least a day. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. I don't know if anybody else told you guys about that yet. But anyway, this is where it all started. So when she got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here, believe it or not. It actually does get cold. This is very mild for us, by the way. It's about to get super hot. But anyway, she figured it out, learned how to make the dye here, and then moved it to a cash crop just south of here by the Stoner River. Got a hold of her dad and said, rice plantation prices are going down. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. That's something absolutely unheard of. This woman is a pioneer to the fullest extent that you can think of. So, that's the boring business stuff. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are here. With only 2 spirit boxes working, I'm going to kind of hammer you with some really good questions of things that we commonly get the answers to, and we're going to go after something that she would feel a little bit more comfortable about. We're not going to be asking about her children. I'm trying a new experiment. Every year I kind of refresh things. Every November I start experimenting with new spaces. This was one of the spaces I was looking to retire, just because we are getting some nasty messages from disrespectful ghost hunters on my teams. So it's calmed down a bit because the tours have calmed down. I'm not out here as much, but normally 6 to 7 nights a week, depending on the weather, when I'm out here starting in the spring. So again, we are getting some really disrespectful people. Her death. You can ask how old she was. You can ask what she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. We can also go after the mansion. It's not here anymore. What happened to it? When did that happen? If we get what, then we usually get 2 to 3 numbers out of the date. And it's a very specific date. So you're going to find that out. And before we leave each space, I will give you the answers. So I'm not going to just leave you hanging. These are things I actually know, but there are certain things that are going to pop up. I'm like, I have no idea what that means. And I'm going to write it down and look into it tomorrow with some of the research tools that I have to see if it's a match to anything, especially if it's a very odd phrase. So is there anything else that you might be curious about with Eliza that's not a feeling or a yes-no question? I can't prove feelings. So is there something you were curious about personally?
I don't know.
Okay.
Trying to get the hang of this.
I know.
Yeah.
So we're going to go straight to her depth and kind of see where we're at. Again, with this particular device, you see a 4.9, which is good. 2.5 and higher is what I'm looking for in the space. The average spike for this location is 18 to 22 milligauss. So I'm going to explain what those mean and relative things to your home before we leave, once I see what we actually get out of it.
Okay.
But the 4.9 is actually a really good start.
Okay.
It actually went to that as soon as I pulled that out of my pocket, which means I could have jostled it, but then it went down and then back up to the 4.9. So that's the only reason why I'm like, oh, that's a legitimate reading. So, and you've already started your recording, right?
Yes.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 quick laps, see what you hear out of it. Again, this I like to start off with, 8.7. I like to start off with this location because this is very active. Not all the time, but probably one of my most active spaces. Even though you're just getting used to it, you're going to start to see how things start to mesh, and you're going to do way better as we move along.
Okay.
So let's take 2 quick laps, and I'll be keeping an eye on this guy.
Okay.
You're just going to make nice, slow movements. The slower you move with that, the easier it's going to be to watch for you later.
Okay.
Eliza, why don't you tell us what happened? You mentioned it. Eliza, if you're here, we want to hear what happened to the mansion. Straight down the street. Drop it like it's hot. I want to go to her drop it like it's hot. Does that make sense? So no matter how silly you think it is,
So am I listening for things that are coming across through the radio portion?
exactly.
Like somebody said significant conversation.
Okay. I'm not going to write it down because I don't feel like it's relevant. It's very vague. But you did hear it. So
I'm listening to the words that people are actually saying.
Exactly.
Not what's. I always have a hard time to say spirits and white noise.
Right.
Like, what did you use?
Right.
Okay.
So again, with you using this as a beginner method, getting used to something that you're already used to, like a person of each human's voice, is the easiest way to start learning about a spirit.
Okay.
So you're going to be using it in this fashion all night long.
Okay.
So again, you're going to get better because you're going to start realizing, like, oh, that song there just said "Stairway to Heaven."
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't care who you hear. I care what you heard. A lot of people, kids want to tell me they heard Harry Styles, and they don't give a shit that they heard Harry Styles. They don't want to hear Harry sing. Like, what people say that makes sense to the space.
There's all sorts of things going on. It's just hard to get a handle on quicker. It's bouncing so fast.
And that's the slowest method.
Okay.
Again, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So, again, the task that I've given you is showing you, like, how we actually get information about space.
Okay.
When I run an investigation, I have 2 of those. I have one running on the slow mode, like what you're doing now, and then one running on super fast. No chatter whatsoever. It's nothing but white noise. It also goes into a wallet to make sure it's not going to get reception, so I can make sure what I'm getting out of it is validated. And I put them on mute and just let them record. I listen to it later. But that, I mean, I had an 18.1 right there in the center, and you can see there's no electricity around us. So, I mean, we have something going on. But you're also probably missing a lot, which is okay. That's why we report it. got anything weird on there?
Not necessarily. It's all like 10 degrees below.
And this is a great spot for you to learn about that because we have gravel, we have mud. It rained today, so mud is going to be much cooler than, say, the walls. The walls should be orange and yellow, where your ground is going to be different tones of black, blue, and maybe a few orange spots if there's a can or something. So, again, this is a great spot. Normally when I'm watching this portion of the video, I'm looking at the walls because I want to see something blue going across it. Much easier to find, if you get my gist of that.
Does the white mean anything? Or no?
No, the white is normally like an outline. This camera only sees in 2D, so it's helping you see in 3D by putting white lines around the major temperature differences.
Okay.
So that's why I say, you're going to see a white outline of Mom, but it's going to look a little skewed, like it's going to look just to the right or just to the left until it recalibrates.
Okay.
And it'll recalibrate on its own. You won't need to do anything. I already have it set up that way. I made everything super easy. So that way, all you got to do is either hold something, listen to something. Like, she literally has the hardest job, only because she's never done this kind of listening before. I'm excited about that 18. I'm going to see if I can find it again. Learn these. Alright, so let's kind of cover the answers. So go ahead and stop your video, give your hands a break. I like to stop right at this gate. First off, we already know that this was Dueler's Alley.
Mm-hmm.
I like to point out the gate because not all tours tell you why the gate is here. So in the event that there was a loser to the duel, remember that the alley was cut off this way. This was a shortcut to get over to St. Philip's Church. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street and bring the dead body around. So this was just a shortcut. The wrought iron wasn't there. Again, early 1900s, but the archway is definitely original to when it was Dueler's Alley and Cow Alley. So, tell me what you know about the Whistling Doctor. Is that how they described it?
They just really talked about
They just said that it was known to be Dueler's Alley. They
Yeah.
really didn't go super in depth
Oh,
in
the
it.
two guys dueled.
Okay.
That was really it.
I'm going to give you a lot of
Okay.
wordy clues
Okay.
of things that we capture here. So, again, I like 23, but I don't like 23. It's like real close to the age of his death. So he died at the age of 22 during this duel. So let's kind of go through this. The doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. This is actually part of the reason why I bought the Ouija board device that I told you about, because the letters R.I. are very prominent here, first one being Rhode Island. Keep that in mind. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney, helping her out with all the cash. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after her money. So he tells Amanda, get rid of this doctor. Dr. Ladd moves here to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money. So,
Jesus.
Oh, you're near the church. You're going to start getting more
Yeah.
religious terms. It
That's
happens
funny.
pretty much on a nightly basis.
See, I missed that. You're catching it way better.
That
Well,
was
you're listening
so
to me too.
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like off in her own little world, which is fine. So again, I expect this. This is what I do on a nightly basis. When I see somebody doing this and they have an earbud in their ear, I'm like, okay, they're going to have to listen to the voice recording, which is why I do it. But anyway, the coachman that brought him into Charleston set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start. Somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. He knew it was about to happen. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. R.I. Again, 2 different characters. We just need a secondary clue. Anyway, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. Like, this guy's going to try to kill you. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to rob and kill you. Come with me. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. The number 59 shows up here a lot. Or clues about that specific house. I'm not going to tell you what those are. I got some friends there. You can rent a room. You'll be safe and good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer. What'd you hear? I seen a smile.
No, that's funny. Rent a room, we'll be safe here.
Yeah, so he took him up on the offer. They became friends. Now, Ralph, the doctor's making more money the longer he stays here. Amanda gets wind of this. She's going to move down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. By the way, I don't think I gave you the doctor's full name. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you hear Brown-Eyed Girl here, which happens often, not coincidental. Just so you know, it's part of his name. So, the Whistling Doctor, and again, this is 1780s, so again, whistling was a thing for men back then, and the other ghost tours down here will tell you to listen for the whistles while you're here. I don't know if the other tour that you had told you that, but we're using a voice recorder, so you don't need to physically listen. And if you notice how quiet it is now, other than the other group over there, it's always this quiet. One of the most beautiful, peaceful places we have in all of Charleston. Love this place. But anyway, by the way, yeah, you getting some footage? Cool. So back to the doctor. Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together. They can sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the way the hierarchy works. So he gets better seats. They talk about the plays on the way home. They go see Richard III one night from Shakespeare. On the way home, they're arguing over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph, not so much. It gets really heated, and Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home, Amanda. They go their separate ways. Ralph has friends here, like I said. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in a paper, telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of Dr. Ladd. Kind of you're a disgrace to society, you freaking jerk. Like, that's kind of the way it went down, in not so many words. The doctor saw the ad, rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Somebody's going to die over a newspaper ad, right? And some insults on his fiancée. They come down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up, which is often what happened. If you've seen Hamilton, you know these things. She's like, yeah, I know. So, Ralph has his one bullet, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. He didn't die either, but he drops to the ground, and Ralph proved his point. He's still pissed off. Dr. Ladd's friends picked him up, carried him home to 59 Church Street, which is probably 3/4 of a mile from here, and he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. So, he died in November, and it depends on which version of the story you're reading. Some say he died 10 days later, some say he died 4 days later. So it just depends. The death date is always the same because I know I've seen the headstone. November 2nd, 1786. So 11/2/86. We will get his birthday from time to time, which I'm not going to tell you what that is because that shows up often. But with Dr. Ladd, again, you can hear the whistles. Some say you can hear the gunshots. But again, we have whistles in the background. Some I can't debunk. Keep in mind, if you're going to try this on your own, I know you guys are leaving tomorrow, but if you're going to walk through here and use your voice recorder from your phone, just keep in mind every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland and Queen is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every night. We passed my garage on the way here. So if my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So, again, you already know like where we're going next. We're going to be stirring some things up, hopefully, with Dr. Ladd. You're going to get some clues about him over there. If you're going to continue recording, you can, but we're going to also stay out of the other tours' way. Again, it's a weekday. I don't expect a whole lot of other tours out. It looks like that tour is actually ending. They ended here, which is actually a great spot to end. But for us and what we're doing, we want to go stir some shit up more with the Crazy Pirate. And it is not a prominent English woman where we're going to have to tiptoe like what we did with the Pinckney Mansion. Okay. So let me check my word list real quick before we leave the space.
Larger. I heard larger.
I heard 4 ways earlier. License.
I heard 30. Did you not hear that?
Body. Billy Joel. What song is that? Uptown Girl.
Billy Joel. Get the word holiday.
We're on holiday. I don't know.
Also not British.
I know, that's true.
I'm just trying to think of like if there's a holiday related to birth or death dates from the two gentlemen, and I can't think of one.
Beach?
Be challenged.
Be challenged.
I also have the name Pam. Does that mean anything to either one of you?
Yeah.
So you did hear a couple of things. Let me write those down before we move on to the next space. You heard 23.
23. I also heard 30.
No, that doesn't match up either. Actually, it's a possibility, again, depending on which version of the story you read, of the date of the actual duel would have been October 23rd if he died 10 days later. So it's vague, but again, we're going to see what actually happens. See if I get the word October that'll show up. 86 would match up for that, so I would kind of like, oh, we actually have something else of that date. You heard something else. What was the other thing you heard? I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
What did I say?
Pistol Pete. Did you just hear that?
Crystal Pete?
Pistol Pete.
Oh. A lot of P words. I have the name Pam. Pistol Pete Pam.
Yeah.
But I like the word pistol down here. I also want you to keep in mind with those being slowed down, the key words we might pick up might be something interference before and after. What color is a big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. I don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. I just need the red. So again, Pistol Pete. We don't need Pete.
Just pistol.
Just a pistol. And it would also have been a flintlock during those times. So again, we've had the word flint and lock show up separately in the same evening. We've heard got shot or kneecap or the song Hands on My Knees. That is showing up here in this location because again, he was shot in the kneecap. It is a proven fact. And the reason, by the way, that he probably refused the medical treatment was because, again, it was a different type of, he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out this bullet himself. It was a different kind of bullet than what we know now. It was probably lead poisoning he was more afraid of than the actual gun wound. I mean, it's a 1786.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely a different time frame. I love how you're so, zoned out.
I know.
Well, it's fascinating now that I'm starting to kind of learn the
How it works.
pattern of it a little bit.
It takes time. Again, you're going to get better at it.
One. It's so cool.
The cooler thing is that all of your data, and I explain this a little bit further when we're done, but all of your data stays on my website for a year. So if you want to go back and look at any other date, like your birthday, something else, it's all
What
up
did
there.
they say?
Zach Bryan song. I listen to Zach Bryan all the time.
But what was the lyric?
Stare at the way.
We live.
Let's go talk about some crazy pirates.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I like Pistol Pete. That's a good one.
Elliot?
I didn't know that.
Here. Young lady comes here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you with me so far? The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. So again, how mad was that wife that they had to leave Ireland by boat to come here? They actually landed in Georgetown, not Charleston. Dad bought a plantation in Georgetown, and Mom died pretty quickly after. That means he's sending young Anne down here to be able to sell things from the plantation to help keep things afloat. So again, Anne was already turning into a businesswoman by the age of 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. So again, it's pirate lore. Again, trying to piece all this together, a factual investigation on pirate lore is very difficult. So let's kind of let's go back a step in Ireland, and Anne was said to be kind of a badass. They say she killed one of her servants when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old with a knife to the belly. We have had the word knife, servant, and belly all show up in the same evening. So again, these things do occur. So that's kind of the gist of why I like to give you that mentality, because I want you to keep that as we're going through her story. Fast forward, building's done in 1713. Oh, wow. Some of these tour guys are super loud. I like to be small and discreet. Anyway, by 1715, pirates are coming through Charleston like crazy. Anne is stoked because she's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom just like a man. It's a man's world. So First guy she falls in love with. I said first because there's a handful. And we're going to go through them. And it's very interesting. Watch, I'm going to capture her attention by guy number 2. You watch. First guy is James Bonney. You already see where that one's going, right? Because now you know her pirate name. Dad didn't approve. Filthy pirate. They go to Jamaica, get married. And Cormac is now Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. When they get down there, this guy is not Captain Jack Sparrow, like she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward. It's not who she wants. Falls in love again a few years later. This is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. We're going to call him Jack through the rest of our story here. Calico Jack is the person that they based your Johnny Depp character off of. So again, this is the guy. This is who she wants. He has his own ship and wants to be part of it. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew. You know why? Think family friendly. It's bad luck. So, again, very big deal to them. She'll curse the ship. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, look like my crew, you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home, hide her away from his wife, so she gets it. But she's going to be a female in Jack's quarters. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, then they're going to vote Jack off the ship. Before she starts to show that she's pregnant, Jack drops her off in Cuba. Have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has a baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. Can't find it in any of my research. Significant part of the story is she comes back dressed as a female. Now the ship crew is going to know that Jack let her on the ship. Jack is pretty angry at this. While she was away giving birth to his baby, that we don't know what happened to, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting, because that's who Anne is. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females, dressed like males, trying to be pirates on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're never really going to know for sure, but the British found out where they are. They sent an entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Rumor is Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they didn't know how to use the cannons yet. They weren't pirates for very long. So obviously 2 ladies are not going to take on a whole fleet of ships with cannons. They get arrested. And as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and she says, "Sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up on our spirit boxes a lot here, just so you know. Even dogs barking as we enter the space. I've seen that before. And people don't even know the story yet. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack. That's November 26th, the date we talked about earlier. So 2 days later, the 2 ladies go in front and reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves, and he doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates. They still plundered. He's going to hang them. We plead our bellies. It was the last thing they screamed, because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It is illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money because he was an attorney back home. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. We don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending because we don't know much about her after her pirate career. Mary Reed died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Most books will tell you that it was fever and something very simple. I'm going to call bullshit and say, let's make it romantic. It's scurvy. You know, it's probably bumpy and gross in the whole 9 yards. So, 2 things I left out of here because you know how to ask questions by now. So this is not a prominent English woman that you need to tiptoe around, like I said. So the 2 things I left out, the names of her parents. That's the father and his mistress. I left those out on purpose so you'd have something to work with. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So those are, again, things that we've gotten in the past. The ship question we don't always get, and it's a little bit skewed. And I'll explain more before we leave the space. We're going to make a few laps around here. Your camera loves to act up in here, just so you know. It's happened on more than one occasion. Hasn't had, that disruption lately, but I would say about a year ago, we kept getting the same weird features here. Small group, for example. The person using that camera was filming me and the spirit box person. A white film went over Mom. Not me, just Mom. And the spirit box shut off completely. We walked out of the space, like it was back up in that corner. We walked out of that space. It literally went back to the recording. You guys seen me fiddling around with the buttons? Yeah. It takes 4 button presses to get that thing to go back to where it was, and there was no disruption in the recording whatsoever. No idea what happened.
$1 million?
Talking about pirates, they probably stole something. There's a lot of weird things that occur here, but again, I'm going to be checking EMF just to see if we can get a motion sensing out of it. I was like, oh, did I lose it? I can feel it on my back pocket. Anne likes to tell us what her hair color was by using this guy. So I was trying to help somebody that was struggling with that one night, and I said, let's just go with a simple question with a 1-syllable answer. I know her hair color is red, and instead we got the answer here. How this guy works is the proximity. It's going to give you different colors, and in order for her to give me red, she has to touch it.
Oh.
So we had it in multiple locations around the space. And show me your hair color, or tell me what your hair color is. And tell me what your hair color is. I mean, it was on command. So she had to touch this thing in order to make that go off. Like
Cool.
that. EMF is not, I mean, we're going to probably get like 1 to 3s because of the electrical poles. But the closer we get to the back, I'll be paying close attention just to see if it goes above that 2.5.
Okay.
So normally not, but we'll kind of see what happens. Have you heard anything before we start walking around?
I heard hold your hand very loud.
Damn word. Oh, look at there. So we have the word doctor. I'm also going to tell you, did they tell you about the sand here at Powder Magazine?
Yes. Yeah.
So if it were hit, the sand would put the fire out?
Yeah, it's another great idea. It just doesn't work either.
Yeah.
Just like the bolts, they don't work. Like, that's not a thing that actually works. It's just part of Charleston Charms, you know, kind of bullshit. But we do have the word Sandy that we're here. So again, not coincidental.
Yeah.
If something else turns up about this specific location, like something about its history, there are weird things that occur here. I get a lot of psychics on this tour. They all see the same person standing here,
Really?
the same description. So we're going to see if anything pops up around him. I've been keeping an eye out. It's just very interesting, the people that I see. I don't always get, you know, the people that are just curious. I get practitioners as well.
For real? Huh.
Well, I'm the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the guy to come see because I literally have everything in the bag. So I get invited to a lot of, you know, different things as well. So
Prominent?
I heard that.
You're
loud.
prominent.
not yet. Well, I'm like the hidden thing to do in Charleston. I don't know how
That's
you found
great.
me.
Well, it's right on Google. I Googled it.
Yeah, but if you go to, like, there's 339 tours in Charleston. Ghost tours.
Yeah.
I know I'm like number 4 on TripAdvisor.
But it's different than, like you said, everything else is just listening to a story.
Yeah.
This is more interactive.
It's an experience.
It's
I
an
actually
experience.
just contacted Airbnb because they have an experience kind of track to see if I can put my boot camp on there just to have it separated. So they're reviewing it now because it is such a fully immersive thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's way more intense than what we're doing out here now. Like, it's a lot of like blindfolds, and we're gonna.
That's cool.
It's the same stories.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna not tell them as much. Yeah, let's take a walk around. Let's see what we get. I will be writing down the
Bring it
word
up a bit.
prominent. And if you're here, we got all kinds of boxes out again tonight. Just tell us whatever you want us to know.
Flowers.
What was that?
Flowers.
There's literally like 15 stories in this corner. So I'm always like, if you give me something weird that doesn't relate to the pirates,
It could be something else.
correct. And you have to know what's real and what's not. You have to research. Come on, Ann. That's not gonna work. Your 7th vice president
200.
is buried on the other side of this wall, by the way.
Yes, we went to his,
John
well,
Calhoun.
yeah,
Yeah, he's literally
during
on
the
other
day
side.
walking tour. We went
It's
in.
open during the day.
Yeah.
200. I'm actually going to shut this off so I can write these things down. 200, prominent. What was the other thing? Flowers.
Flowers.
56, 31.
31. Yeah, 56.
56 and 31. I love numbers.
$0.25 cents. Tips, corner.
Let's keep moving. See what else we can get.
$57.
Yeah, 57 again.
Just talking about ketchup. 57 sauce. Don't look like something's counting. 56, 57. I also look at those as dates. So even when you give me that, it's like May 5th, May 6th kind of thing. Like, I always look at those as well.
Lucia.
Party girl, yeah.
Anne was a party girl.
Normally we get girls just want to have fun. That's the song we get here all the time.
So, must be party girl.
Yeah, she was kind of on the wild side. Come on, Ann. Give us something a little bit more prominent. Tell us what your father's name was. You guys both looked at each other weird. What do you think you got?
I thought I heard Henry.
I thought I heard ring.
What the heck?
Henry is prominent here.
I heard Henry.
I'll explain. So, there's another Pinckney buried on a cemetery that we're going to be passing. He actually started a newspaper called the Mercury. His name is Henry Lawrence Pinckney. So we will get a version of Henry and Lauren together. It'll normally show up on the word list, kind of like you'll have Henry and I'll get the Lauren. The weird thing is too, the next location we're going to be investigating a Henry, but it is a good 2.5 blocks away. I'm not finding that a prominent thing here unless it's a premonition, which can happen as well. So it just depends on what else we get out of it. The word ring, I don't know what that is.
I didn't hear that.
I haven't checked the word list in a minute either.
Like, turn this way.
Which one?
There we go.
Trying to find your parents' name.
Oh, here's our word knife.
Wow.
And on table. It's almost like giving us exactly what happened. And then we got doctor. Like, that's a big one, obviously. So whoever's here, just tell us what your name is. We're here to listen. And I'm always researching.
Spirit?
I heard spirit.
I heard spirit.
Well, spirit can be looked at in a number of ways. It could also be alcohol. So if we were near Big John's, I would say they're talking spirits, not so much. I was like, Mike only has 2 people tonight too. He is the one guy that I would actually recommend other than me. Like, you want to talk about master storyteller? The dude is creepy. Like, we've been on each other's podcasts, so that's how we actually met. I don't have a whole lot of friends in this industry, and when I have a question, he's the guy I go to. And normally, if I'm sold out, I say, if you can get on his tour, take it. Like, you want to hear some master... And the guy's been doing it like 30 years. Like, he's been doing tours for 30 years. What'd you get?
High school?
I heard high school.
It's not a phrase I would expect when we're talking. I mean, everybody that's in this area is going to be late 1700s to 1800s. But high school is not something that I would expect.
Christ, I heard. We're right by the church.
Yeah. You heard something before high school. What was it?
I don't remember.
Okay. It'll be on your audio. It just won't be written down. But yeah, I was surprised he only has 2 people. Like, normally that guy, you can't get near him.
Fourth man?
4th man.
Something stronger than I used to, Morgan Wallen song.
You prove.
Yeah.
Something stronger than what?
I used to.
Not getting a whole lot of Ann Bonny here, just so you know, other than Party Girl. And I didn't have any EMF readings making a lap. I like Party.
Building.
What was that?
His radio. Impact.
Impact.
Still looking for, like, names for parents.
They haven't shown
Or
up yet.
ship name.
And again, this is a hit or miss. The nights where she's here, it's a whole shit. There's a lot going on. Like, everybody's got something going on.
Do you have anything on the video?
No, but it helps if you stand in the frame so that I can see.
Yeah, she's been
a
like
little
catching
bit.
just your hand or whatever.
Yeah.
You're a hand model now. You just didn't know it. Give you guys another minute just to listen in. You're getting pretty good.
We're working on it here.
I mean, you're hearing things at this point, and you're recognizing like what would be a specific term to a location.
Galaxy?
Now I have armed. Like I don't think I've ever seen that term.
Armed?
Yeah, I've been using this app for like 6 or 7 years. It still surprises me. I mean, it still gives me a term. I'm like, what the hell? Names I've never seen.
40th.
Celebrating.
Celebrating 40th. My mind goes to California.
Easy thing to destroy.
Destroy.
And you heard
59.
there's your address, 59 Church Street, where the doctor stayed. Dr. Ladd, if you
What
can
song
hear
is
us over
that?
here,
I don't know.
tell us about 59 Church Street. What is it called now? Even if you want to tell us what the outside of the house looks like a description, we'll take that as well.
Earth.
I can't.
Her eyes are just, every time she hears something.
It's too jumpy right
It's
now.
very jumpy.
Okay, let's head over back to by the wall. I'll give you guys the answers and we'll talk about our last space. We got one more spot after this. It's not an easy job, is it?
Mm-mm.
No.
It's way to get it back, and you can use your own, AirPods or whatever you use. It's much easier to hear it with a better quality. And I buy those earphones in bulk because I'm going to hand out 2
Sure.
pairs a night.
Yeah.
I'm excited about 59. I'm excited about Destroy and Impact. So did they tell you why this building is in the location that it is?
Not necessarily, I don't think.
So did anybody bring up the Charleston walls to you?
Yep.
Okay, so the original wall was right here. This is where it came up. They wanted to get this building as far away from the water as possible. So that way if a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship was going to attack it by cannon, too far for it to come in. Also keep in mind that most of the outside of Charleston, the peninsula, is man-made. So that part wasn't there. So it's really about 2.5 blocks away. Still not going to make it this far. But the building has 32-inch thick walls. If it comes all the way up, that's where the sand comes in. Blows up the gunpowder, sand goes up, it's supposed to fall. But that doesn't work. We had another powder magazine on Battery Street. So again, it was called Battery. So it did get hit, the sand went up, but the building burned to the ground. No longer exists. This one's just never been hit. And Bonnie, let's give you those 2 quick answers. And I always like to show you what she looked like because everybody wants to see what they base Johnny Depp off of. So, Anne Bonnie, one of the few pictures you can find of this woman with a shirt on, by the way. Reason why is because she used to. We have our mind set on Henry for right now. There is, you could see where it looks like a man writing. It's hands down. But the last words, as a writer, you don't write those things ironically, cough, and die on the page. This is exactly
Wow.
what happened. So we have obviously told you a couple of cues that we've gotten about him, but we've also gotten the words blood and book in this location. So hopefully you're going to find out the son's name and his birthday. Let me show you that picture of Sue Howard Hardy before we actually get started.
Dude, Philadelphia or 26 hold any relevance? So I heard both of those while you were talking.
Philadelphia is always relevant to Charleston. There's a lot of things. I'm still waiting. We're actually close to 59 Church Street. It's that way, about 0.3 miles, like 2 blocks basically. We've gotten clues to 59 Church Street specifically at this location. I just noticed that.
Poetry.
Nice. Hang on. You guys are giving me some good stuff. Sue Howard Hardy. Where the hell is she? She's in here somewhere. There it is. So, Sue Howard Hardy. This is obviously the full picture.
It took me a while to realize that's the back of her.
Right.
Yeah.
They should have explained, you're looking at her shoulders and back.
He
and
didn't
then
explain. He was just...
That's the baby basket next to her. Did he point that out?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, don't touch. But yeah, when you blow this up like on a computer, you can see the weaving in the basket.
No kidding.
Like, it's uncanny. Like, when you look up like top 10 apparitions ever taken, this is usually, well, not top 10, maybe top 50. I mean, I study this shit all the time. This is one of the common pictures.
Isaiah.
Let me put this away and write down some of the terms. I need a bench. Maybe not. But again, this location, if we bounce around, we get all kinds of things. High EMFs all the way up to 157 is the highest I've caught here. Oh, I'm sorry, 161. We caught a 161 last week. So what am I excited about? You heard
Isaiah, she said.
Isaiah, Philadelphia,
Philadelphia,
26.
Poetry.
Poetry, that's what it was. That's when I'm like, oh yeah, we got something going on. Now, the SLS camera, the Stickman camera, the reason why I have it, back in December, somebody brought the big chunky one, right, that you guys see on TV. We had an 8-minute interaction with Henry inside the wrought iron gate. This is his bust. When I say 8-minute interaction, it was, Henry, is it okay if I read some of your poetry? Raise your right hand.
Wow.
Goes up, goes back down again.
Yeah.
Read his poetry. How it disappeared, it's a team full of men, one woman. The only woman in the group goes over and outstretches her hand and says, Henry, can you shake my hand? He disappears. Reason being, he died in the 1800s. It's probably disrespectful for a female to offer her hand to be shaken and shooken like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the right term is. As a writer, I'm like, I stumble on that every night. It's like, it's just disrespectful. We never got him back. So I was like, I gotta have one of these cameras. So that's when I came up with the, let's put it on the iPad. I got a hold of the developer of the app, like talk to him, like, hey, like, tell me about this thing. Like, is this gonna be legit for what I do for a living? So
Face.
What?
I heard face.
Face?
Alright, hang on. Washington, so poetry, big one. 26. What was the other one? You heard something else. 26.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Face. Poetry is probably our best one so far. Like, that's obviously something going on. I don't know who the hell Isaiah is.
I don't either.
Well, there's a million monuments in here. You guys give me names all the time. There is a very common name that we get all the time that's not relevant to Henry. I'll explain when it shows up, because it's almost nightly. So we'll kind of see what goes on
Okay.
with that. But we are going to walk around the space. I can't make this shit up, guys. I promise you.
Wow. Yeah. Same room. Who was in the same room?
Nobody was in that room. Teacher, justice, nerd.
Miller?
Miller. Yeah, I heard Miller.
Well, we'll often get the name too of the
I thought it said Wayne Miller.
of the college buddy. His initials have shown up on the Ouija board that I have, like the Ouija board device.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten that. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but Miller and Isaiah. So we might actually have like an Isaiah Miller, something. You know what I mean? I'm going to be diving into this. I was waiting for something else.
Did you hear that?
What?
What's
What?
I don't even want to say it because I just got chills.
What'd you get?
What?
Devil.
Eh.
I heard government.
Devil.
Hey, same thing to me.
It's all the same. 30.
Again?
That's in the same 30s.
What is up with 30? Hospital.
I just got Inger. Inger's been on there about a minute and a half now. I'm surprised there's no other tourism. Like, normally I'm dodging them. I don't pay attention to time.
Shy.
So one of the things that I tell people is know your ghost. Obviously, prominent Englishwoman, tiptoe, pirate, poke the bear. This guy is an introverted writer. He's very shy. It usually takes a few minutes for him to come out. Again, it's just weird that he didn't want to shake the woman's hand over there, but I bring 2 more females in here, and we've already had at least 3 major terms: poem, poetry, shy.
Old-fashioned.
So, like, hopefully, and I'm going to go to the spot where I normally get, like, the high EMFs to see if we can get some numbers. We haven't had many numbers tonight except for the 18 over at the, and normally a character trait like that I normally can't prove, but with with him, it's a very specific thing. Like every biography about him tells you, he was a pretty shy guy because he was poor. You know, he wasn't very extroverted about his work. He wanted to be hired, and he didn't get paid very much. He didn't want to go out and like push his own work. Paisley.
Pretty.
So again, I've gotten some high EMF in this space. I want to test out a few locations. So I'm going to put this guy away. Now that you guys are getting some good terms, I'll check on that in a minute.
Famous.
He's becoming famous.
Rights. Record.
Let's see if we can get some high readings. Let's head this way.
Work.
So part of the reason why I look at your guys' names before, I mean, not just to memorize them, but that way I know, like, if I'm, you know, looking for males or females. When I say your two names, I thought I was going to get, like, 2 old ladies. I told my wife.
I feel that way.
Well, because, I mean, I get a lot of, like, 60 plus.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's one of those pieces, they love this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they absolutely
I love
it.
this. This is so fun.
Well, they have the most experience. So they've had experiences in their lives. This grassy knoll is a common spot for high EMF, and we can't explain it. We're not near anything. It shows up in one night and not others.
So what is this little...
That is a memorial to Marguerite Volk. I haven't done the full research on her yet. The Ouija board has spelled out her name, Marguerite, without the U. Like, that's a long name. We've also had her initials show up. Again, I haven't done a full research on her, but every once in a while we get something relative to her. That little stone over there, that's in the middle of the walkway, that is a memorial to Andrew Jackson's mother. So Andrew Jackson was our 7th president. Calhoun served underneath Jackson. So her name was Elizabeth Hutchinson. So every time, once in a while we'll hear like EH or Elizabeth or something along those lines.
I keep hearing picture.
We just talked about the damn picture.
Yeah. I've heard it twice now, being in here.
Well, the interesting thing is we're right next to a neighborhood. So maybe Sue lived over here. I don't know. I can't find the records. It's a possibility. I just can't prove it.
relation?
Come on, Henry. We want to get back to you, buddy. You were giving us some good words.
Height?
He was short. He was known to be short.
Said height?
Short and shy. I'm getting absolutely nothing. I'm going to reset this just to make sure. Because it's just uncommon not to get anything. Like 0, like flatline. But I like the word height for sure. Come on, Henry. Where you at, buddy? We need to hear something from you. Why don't you tell us about your son? Can you tell us when his birthday was?
Tomb?
Henry, I know you're in here. It's nice and quiet. You know what's funny is the other nights when it's very busy in here, nothing. Again, you got to know your ghosts.
Well, if he's shy and introverted.
Right. And there's too many people in here. Alright, so he's not over here. Let's try up this spot. Again, he moves. I don't know where he's at. Come on.
Participate? Jerusalem.
So let me tell you why I wrote that down. So whenever something like that comes up specific, and it seems like it's wrong and out of place, these spirit boxes also make predictions on who's going to be on my next tour. So a lot of times I get nationalities, I'll get specific names that you don't hear every day, like that Isaiah. I might have an Isaiah that's, you know, from Jerusalem, or follows that religion from Jerusalem, whatever the case might be. I don't know it because I don't look at the names until the next day. This way I can stay focused on Grace and GENA, and I'm focused on your investigation. But I write down things that are out of place like that on purpose because sometimes it happens.
That's interesting.
These people are prominent white folk that anybody that is not prominent or white is going to stand out to them. So, again, if I have somebody on the tour, if I have Jose from...
95 and 9.
The son died at 9 months. That was in 1867, if I'm not mistaken. So 9 has shown up here in the past, even though we don't have the months. It's vague until I have another clue to go along with it. Come on, Henry. We need a little bit more. Maybe your son's name?
Thinking?
No, you're not thinking. Just tell us. Come on, Henry. If you're in here tonight, we want to know. Tell us your wife's name, your son's name, anything along those lines. I would say it's just
Bill?
uncanny to see this thing at zeros. Like, it has been almost 0, 0 the whole time we've been in here. That's an anomaly by itself, just because I'm so used to seeing something pop through. I did see a 3-6 when I turned around, so I'll give us that one.
Life?
See how you got better at it versus the first spot we stopped at? It takes time.
It does. Caught?
Henry, come on. We're going to be wrapping this up here in a minute. Whatever you want to tell us, whatever you want to say. We've been respectful. There's a 6.8. Nice, thank you.
50,000?
You said $50,000.
$50,000, yeah.
You got script number 30 earlier. Come on, Henry. I got 2 young ladies here that want to know more about you. This is GENA and Grace. Can you tell us the name of your son or your wife? I feel like a spider web on my face. It's usually like a sign of something. Like, I don't normally put my feelings into anything, but when you feel like a spider web and you're like, oh, something just touched my arm or whatever.
Yeah.
It's normally like, I feel every time I turn, there's a new one.
Really?
So who knows, is there any EMF on my face?
1-9.
Yeah.
Now 0.
6-8 again.
Speaker?
It definitely wasn't a speaker.
At ease?
That's a good one. A little vague, but come on, Henry. Give us something. Something specific about you. You're the star of the show here, sir.
I heard green.
I heard green too.
Green. I also look at that as a name.
Could be.
So there could be a tie to him with a green.
And then I just looked right up, which is odd.
There's the green light.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing specific here.
No.
No EMFs. Alright. Let's wrap up this party. Hopefully
Friends.
taken That.
Friends?
Which friend, Henry? Got about 30 seconds. Which friend was it? Were you talking about us? Just a second. So I'm going to stop your audio first. Again, I don't pay attention to time. We just go until something stops. And it kind of gives me a gist of how much data you're going to get back. I would go ahead and turn that volume down and stop your video.